Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. I want to welcome our County Executive, Rich Fitzgerald, Mayor Ed Gainey, Senator Fontana. Appreciate you joining us today for a very special day. We're excited to announce that Acrisure has agreed to be our partner. Starting today, the new name of the stadium is Acrisure Stadium. Acrisure is a fast-growing, technology-driven asset manager in markets around the world. They have an exciting future, and we are pleased to welcome them as a very important part of the Steelers' future. Before I ask Greg Williams to come up and say a few words, I want to acknowledge Thomas Tull, who was the catalyst in bringing us together. Thomas has been a shareholder of the Steelers for 13 years now, and he's also a shareholder at Acrisure. So Thomas, thanks for making this happen. And now I'd like to welcome Greg Williams to our community. Greg is the co-founder and CEO of Acrisure. Greg has done a tremendous job leading this fast-growing company, but my favorite part about Greg is he's a long-term Steelers fan. So Greg, please come up and share a few remarks.
Thanks, Art, and thanks, Thomas. This is a bit of a pinch me moment for me as you think about, I'll start where Art ended. Lifetime Steeler fan, where my wife and I been married 40 years, and in the 70s, because we couldn't get tickets in Pittsburgh, we'd go to away games. And so we've been to Cincinnati, we've been as far away as San Diego to watch games because there was no such thing as StubHub back in those days. And so all to say, that was something that has been, the Steelers have been something we've been close to for basically our lifetime. As the business that we built grew, and if you look at, and there's enough information out there, you probably have seen it, but this is a company that 9 years ago was $38 million of revenue and somewhere north of $4 billion by the end of this year. So it is a fast-growing fintech business, insurance, asset management, cybersecurity, real estate services, and other verticals, and so all driven by a technology platform. So it is a fintech business. That's in 13, now actually, as of this week, 14 countries. And so it is fast growing, it is dynamic, it's partnership oriented. And so when Thomas had called and indicated, hey look Greg, would you, knowing the history in terms of the love that we have for the Steelers, this was something that was kind of a natural, and it didn't take long to say yes. And it was a matter of meeting Art and getting a sense of what the opportunity would need to look like for the Steelers to say yes. And so with that, it concluded quickly and has come together quickly, and we again just couldn't be more proud to be affiliated and partners with the Steelers. The other thing I will mention is that probably you see less of in anything that you look at in terms of Acrisure, the online presence that we have and information, is once we're involved in something, we're involved. And when I say that, very philanthropic. Children's Hospital in Grand Rapids is an example. Once we moved to downtown Grand Rapids, that was one of the first things that we did. And we've continued to contribute meaningful dollars, tens of millions of dollars to that community. And the intent is to do the same thing here. What we're going to rely on is a lot of help from Art and the Steelers as far as where we can be the most impactful. And so that's something that we will lean into as well. And so all to say, we're happy to be here, proud, privileged to be here. Look forward to getting to know as many of you as we can while we're again trying to make a real impact in the community beyond just the Pittsburgh Steelers. So with that, thank you, and I guess Q&A.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
We can open it up for questions if you guys both want to come up near the podium here. Raise your hand, Michael on this side, Angela on this side for any questions. Art? Oops, she has it right there.
Art, can you discuss the financial terms?
No, I don't think we're going to discuss financial terms. It's a 15-year deal, and we're certainly pleased with where we are. All I can say is that I think it brings us into a more competitive range with other stadiums around the country, and so that really was the goal, is to try and be able to be in a more competitive situation with our peers.
if you could too, please state your name and your affiliation as well.
Yeah, Joe Rutter from the Tribune Review. One for Art and one for Greg. Art, I think a lot of people want to know what's going to happen with the ketchup bottle. And for Greg, could you just outline how you became a Steeler fan, the origins of your, how you grew into this?
Well, let me start by saying that we appreciate the 20-plus year partnership that we've had with Heinz, and we are optimistic and hopeful that we'll continue to have a sponsorship relationship with them. We're having those discussions. Who knows? The ketchup bottle could be part of that. We'll see.
With regard to how did it begin, so I was born in 1961, so if you think about the 70s and the age that I was at that time, not hard to fall in love with the winning that the Steelers did. But it was also the brand of football, the toughness, the grit, the defense. I'm probably one of the rare anymore football fans that like watching defense more than I like watching offense, and so you go back to those days and doing a little tour around the stadium, you'd see the Joe Greens, the Ernie Holmes, the Dwight Whites, the L.C. Greenwoods, Jack Hams, the Jack Lamberts, the Mel Blunts, and on the list goes in terms of players that we watched and were fans of. And so it was a combination of the winning, and then as you get older and hopefully a little bit more mature in life, you also learn to appreciate the quality of the organization. And so the way the Steelers are run, how respected they are as an organization, and in terms of how they do things. I would tell you culturally, there couldn't be a better alignment in the sense that if you think about our business, we've just kept our head down, quietly went about building as great a company as we could build, no fanfare, no press, didn't even brand, probably unwise the way we did it. We didn't even brand Acrisure, and so partnered with people and just kept their names. And so all to say that there is a cultural alignment here that I think is part of why this makes sense as well. But the history goes back to that, and appreciation for all of it brought forward with, again, the quality of the people that are involved in Pittsburgh. And I would tell you, around our organization, 14,000 employees around the globe. I don't know, I had 250 plus emails and text messages last night. I had more than that today. The enthusiasm for Acrisure being aligned with the Steelers. It doesn't matter if they're from California, Italy, New York, Florida, Texas, on and on. Whether you're a Steeler fan or not, the respect for the Steelers has that kind of carry and gravitas. So that I would tell you, our folks are thrilled, couldn't be more proud, and it's a thumbs up from literally 100% of the people that said, look, this is a really cool thing and good for the company as a result.
R.C. Cipriani from WTAE-TV. Question is, when will we start to see the Heinz logos coming down and the Acrisure Stadium logos going up, and what will they look like? Will they look like what we see here?
I think what you see here is a representation of what we expect, and we're planning to move quickly and have most of this done by the start of the season.
Chris Hoffman, KDKA-TV. Greg, with the branding here with the Steelers now, is this a plan to move Acrisure more into the Pittsburgh market, especially with the financial and tech sector we do have here?
Well, the financial and tech sector is obviously an appeal. It's a tech company, and what Pittsburgh represents in terms of tech talent is it's a strategic part of what we're looking at and why we're here, more on the strategy side of things. But I think because of the business model, we haven't spent any time, again, maybe unwise as you sit here in a press conference like this, but we haven't spent time branding, but not well known necessarily. But if you look at 14,000 employees, over 1,000 of them are in the greater Pennsylvania marketplace, and there's a significant presence in Pittsburgh. And we have approaching at the end of this year, we'll have over 100,000 clients in and around Pennsylvania. So we have a greater presence here than you realize. And again, that's more due to just the way we built the business. But having said all that, yes, the answer is we're going to be ever increasing and relying on some of the talent that's here as well.
this is for you. At what point did the Surge start to look for a partner outside of brands within the city?
Well, you know, we've talked to a number of local companies over the last couple of years, but I mean, the truth of the matter is we never closed the door on anybody. You know, we just were looking to try to, you know, make the best deal we could make, and we're really pleased that this turned out the way it did, and really to have, you know, somebody like Greg as the CEO of the company and a true Steeler fan, couldn't have worked out better as far as I'm concerned.
All right, this is Tim Benson, Trib. Just dovetailing off that last question, actually. Had you had a number in your head, I know you don't want to discuss financial terms specifically, but as far as the gap between what Acrisure had for you guys as an offer, was there anything close locally that had you considering staying local because it is Pittsburgh?
You know, that's probably more inside baseball than I'm going to get into, Tim. All I will say is, you know, we thought we understood what the market value should be and compared it to other stadiums around the country, and that's the range we were shooting for.
Art, Jeff Hathorn from KDK Radio. You mentioned a more competitive naming rights deal. Will that impact use of rad tax, and how do you plan to use that money for the stadium?
Well, I mean, look, this deal doesn't change our lease, so I'm not sure what impact it has there in the near term. Certainly, you know, we try to make improvements to the stadium every year, and part of that comes from our own private coffers. Some of that comes from our ticket surcharge, and so you know, we have funded a lot of improvements over the years, and I think this will allow us to continue to do that. And we're building a new museum on the other side of the stadium this year that we're excited about. We're replacing escalators. You know, none of that's coming from taxpayer dollars, and you know, as I say, we're looking to have as competitive a situation as we can, both with our naming rights and with our lease, and so you know, it's we're excited about what this can allow us to do, both in terms of being competitive on the field and off.
Art, Alan Saunders from Pittsburgh Sports Now. Following up on the lease, this deal's longer than your lease is right now. Where do things stand from the Steelers' perspective on what happens in 2030?
No, we'd love to, and we assume we'll extend the lease at some point. We haven't quite gotten to that point yet. You know, we still have, I think, 8 years left on the existing lease. So at some point we'll get into those discussions down the road.
Following up on that, Mark Belko from the Post-Gazette. This deal runs for 15 years, so is it safe to say that you're committed to Heinz Field for the next 15 years?
You mean committed to this stadium?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I mean, look, I certainly hope that we're here for longer than that, Mark. So, you know, obviously different contracts have different terms, and you deal with them as terms expire, and you know, we'll be dealing with that in the future. May not be me. Hopefully it's somebody named Rooney, but you know, some of those things will happen further down the road, but look, things like this allow us to be competitive in Pittsburgh. That's the bottom line.
Any more questions? Raise your hand.
Greg, Jeff Hathorn from KDK. Do you have a favorite Steelers fan memory? Like what's a memory that comes to mind when you think of your time watching the Steelers?
I don't know that I can point out one, other than maybe the first Super Bowl in '74. That was pretty cool. Kind of broke through in getting, you know, the championship done, and obviously the first of 4 in the '70s. And so that was probably, I think that was a 16-6 game. I think against the Vikings. I think was the score of the game, and so it was cool to see, and the breakthrough, because you could see that the talent and everything else was there, and so on the field, that was a favorite moment. I'll tell you off the field a favorite moment, probably a story I shouldn't tell, but my wife and I were in Cincinnati. We traveled down to Cincinnati to watch a game, and we were at a Holodome back in the day, you know, pitching pennies to raise enough money to go to a game. And we were sitting by the pool, as two tour buses pulled in, and Steeler fans came out. The bus, we're going to have some company at the hotel, and they immediately came off the bus, didn't check in. They literally ran and just jumped in the pool. And when I said jumped in the pool, fully clothed, shoes, the whole thing. And I said, okay, these Steeler fans, they came to play. So it was, we laugh about it, and as this moment, as I said, a bit of a pinch me moment. We laugh about some of those days and some of those memories, but it's mostly on the field for sure, but there's a little bit of off as well.
Art, Chris Hoff from KDK TV again. With some of the signage, is there any challenges with zoning, and then with some of the signs like we see on the highways and everything? Is that something you guys have to contribute to now with the whole name change and everything?
I mean, fair to say we have a lot of work to do in that department, and we'll be working hard to get everything converted as quickly as possible. But yeah, we do have zoning approvals to get through, things like that. So definitely a lot of work to do.